I am so thrilled to have you here today. We're diving straight into some truly raw, absolutely incredible documentary footage to figure out the ultimate biological success of the wild wolf. We're going to see exactly how these guys don't just survive, but totally thrive in the absolute most unforgiving environments on the planet.
Listen to this. As it gets colder, one animal here gets stronger. In the wild, winter usually means starvation, weakness, just total vulnerability. But for our pack heroes, it establishes this stark, almost beautiful conflict. The brutal, freezing winter, that is exactly what empowers them. Okay, let's dive into this by looking at Yellowstone's famed Druid wolf pack. These guys are an absolute masterclass in extreme habitat survival. They don't just endure the freeze, they completely conquer it. They actively turn the deep snow and plummeting temperatures into their ultimate hunting advantage. So, part 1, Rulers of the Winter. Let's look at how they conquer the cold. Check out this incredible standoff. We've got a massive bull elk standing in knee-deep, freezing river water, keeping his deadly antlers right at the perfect defense height. Honestly, in a one-on-one battle, the elk wins hands down. But as you'll see, the wolves aren't playing fair. They aren't fighting one-on-one. They rely on sheer numbers, strategic flanking, and their absolute ultimate weapon, patience. They know that icy water is just draining the elk's strength minute by minute. They literally just have to wait for the stalemate to end. And this crazy adaptability isn't just a Yellowstone thing. Way up on Ellesmere Island in the high Canadian Arctic, the contrast between human survival and wolf survival is just mind-blowing. The human film crew, they are struggling. They're getting sick, their tents are getting battered by freezing winds, and they're getting swarmed by bugs. Meanwhile, the Arctic wolves are just effortlessly moving across 76,000 square miles of tundra. To put that endurance into perspective, the filmmakers actually documented a male wolf successfully instigating and leading a brutal hunt while walking around with a gurgling, punctured lung. It's just unbelievable endurance, right? Moving on to section 2, the power of the pack. Because physical endurance is only half the story here. Now, what's really interesting about this is how they actually maintain that power. Wolves engage in these highly physical daily bonding rituals. We're talking about reinforcing a super strict alpha hierarchy through mouth flicking, crawling, mounting. These aren't just polite greetings. These are intense physical rituals that lock in the strict rank they absolutely need for total team alignment before heading out on a dangerous hunt. We usually think wolves howl just to say, hey, back off to rival packs, right? And they absolutely do that. But they also sing these eerie, beautiful choruses for another reason. Just to reunite their own family after a scattered, exhausting chase. When they finally find each other again, they take this visible, genuine delight in each other's company. I want you to just process the sheer scale of their wild network for a second. 6. Their warning and reunification howls can travel for over 6 miles across that freezing landscape. That is an incredibly vast communication web cast over a totally silent frozen world. All right, Section 3, Strategies of the Hunt. Let's see how they turn those deep social bonds into tactical strikes. But before we get into their battlefield tactics, you've really got to understand the stakes here. 1 in 10. Despite all their brilliance, all their stamina, and their incredible teamwork, only 1 out of every 10 hunts is actually successful. That's a dramatic reminder of just how unforgiving their frozen world truly is. Think about it. When they miss, the entire family goes hungry. But when they do manage to strike, wow, it is an absolute masterclass in tactics. Whether they're hunting huge caribou or darting after Arctic hares, the strategy is brilliantly structured. First, they rush the herd to flush out the weak. Then, they isolate a single vulnerable calf or hare and immediately flank the sides to cut off any direction changes. And the final phase? Total exhaustion. Every single member of the pack holds a very specific role designed to wear the target down completely. So the crucial point here is that this tactical brilliance is backed up by some raw, explosive athleticism. 60 kilometers per hour. That's the staggering top speed these wolves can hit when they're chasing down a sprinting calf or a super evasive hare. Sometimes, though, speed just isn't enough, and the pack has to take on some immense risks. Just look at this standoff. We've got these wolves, Luna and Romulus, and they find their pack completely outnumbered, 2-to-1 by massive prey. Muskoxen literally form a wall of aggressive, defensive bulls. The tension is just palpable. The wolves have to sit there and carefully calculate whether charging straight into those lethal horns is actually worth their lives just to feed the family. Which brings us to Section 4,
curiosity and close encounters. You know, when documentary film crews are out there, the wolves are already fully aware of them. 2,000 times. Long before they ever actually see the film crew with their eyes, they are sussing them out from over a mile away, using a sense of smell that is 2,000 times more powerful than ours. It's wild. Let's move on and see how this builds, because even when their natural curiosity takes over, you can never forget what they really are. Compare a familiar German Shepherd police dog to a wild wolf. The wild predator possesses double the bite strength of our domestic pets. So even when they're playfully nipping at the filmmaker's boots, it demands extreme caution and a whole lot of respect. Which brings us to a really fascinating logistical puzzle. How exactly do you see inside a wolf den without getting attacked? I mean, the filmmakers had to figure out how to observe the highly guarded next generation without provoking that terrifying bite strength we just talked about. Well, the solution was the rock crawler. It's this super rugged terrain prototype buggy fitted with dual HD cameras that had literally never been tested on wild animals before. The crew completely risked this expensive prototype getting ripped to shreds by the protective pack, just on the off chance it could capture a glimpse of the hidden family. And wow, did that risk pay off beautifully. The producer's infectious joy here really says it all. Oh my word, that is just glorious. 2 pups. Instead of scurrying away, these previously unseen, totally vulnerable pups actually boldly waddled right over to investigate the camera lens. What we learned from getting inside these dens is just incredible. Litters can have up to 10 pups, and they are born completely deaf and blind, but their senses rapidly develop so they can start boldly exploring the world around them, with their first teeth emerging at just 4 weeks old. It's honestly amazing to think that these tiny, totally dependent pups are going to soon grow up into the majestic rulers of the winter. So, that leaves us with this incredibly provocative thought to chew on. Considering their fearsome power, their lethal pack tactics, and their rugged independence in literally the most unforgiving landscapes on Earth, how did this ultimate wilderness survivor eventually evolve into man's best friend? It's like a giant puzzle. I invite you to keep exploring that deep, surprising connection between wolves and humans. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and hey, keep that curiosity alive.